Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel O in the C. It's your boy WilOcho. You can check us out on Instagram, all of that good stuff. Listen guys, before we even get into it, I know that it's not even Monday anymore and I apologize for the late video, but considering it's the Super Bowl, I think I'm still going to need you guys to yell with me. Now my voice is hoarse. I had to recover a little bit. Long story and we'll get into it in a second, but I do need you to yell with me. I'm gonna yell, but I don't know if I can do it all by myself, so I need you guys to yell with me. This is a Tampa Bay Buccaneers Super Bowl. Victory Monday! And holy cow, guys, we're Super Bowl champions. I mean, like, it's crazy to say, it's crazy to think, everything, like, I usually come into videos that I do with a game plan, or at least like some sort of a concept that I want to get into, but I am sitting down here just totally cold. I have no idea what I want to say. I just cannot believe that the Tampa Bay Bucks did it. I don't even know how to express really what happened. Like, it's crazy to me. It absolutely blows my mind. Our defense in these playoffs, that's kind of where I want to start. Our defense, I mean, this is what legends are made of. You talk about putting your stamp on something. 9 points. Now going into the game, I don't want to say a lot of confidence, but I had some confidence. Now the day before the game, the night before, right, Saturday night, I was stressed. I was restless. I could not sleep at all. I just kept, I was nervous. I was like, man, is Tom Brady really gonna, is this really gonna happen? It was crazy. Then I woke up on Sunday morning and I actually felt pretty good about it. I was like, you know what? I was like, the Bucs are ready for this. They could do this, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers showed more than the ability to do it and get it done. They really, that was an incredible game, team game. I can't believe the way it happened. I did believe that the Buccaneers had a good chance to win the game. I have a lot of faith in our guys. Like, I had a lot of faith in our guys all season, and I believe that they were capable of great things because I've seen them all do great things individually. But this is one of the first times all season where you really saw it all come together. Everybody played well. Everybody played to their potential. Everybody played at peak performance level. And Bucs fans, we already knew this, right? When the Bucs play to their peak potential, there's no other team like it. And matter of fact, there's no other team that can even hang with it. It's crazy. Like I said, I'm just so thankful to the guys, man. I was hard on some of these players throughout the season, really hard on, some coaches as well. And for them to just all come together and just get it done. The amount of pressure that was on this team, I feel like all season to get it done. Now we got Devin White, people are talking about Devin White like he's the best middle linebacker in the league. I feel like 3-4 months ago, we're the only people who knew who he was. Antoine Winfield Jr. is up for Defensive Rookie of the Year, right? He was nominated against Chase Young. Nobody but Bucs fans knew who this guy was a few months ago. Like, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers they put themselves on the map. They deserve all the respect that they are given. I already see like a lot of people talking about, is this the best Buccaneers defense in team history? Is it one of the best defenses in recent memory? I don't think they're the best defense of all time or anything like that, because I think they're a little too inconsistent. For me, I think the best defense of all time, you're great every day. Every game that you play, you are great. I'm biased as could be, right? But the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense is not great every game that they play. Now, the one thing I will never take away from this defense, this Todd Bowles, Devin White, Levante David, JPP-led defense, is they understand how to rise to the occasion. You hear a lot of times that players play to the level of their competition. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense this year embodies that. That worried me all season. I was like, they're so inconsistent, but they do always seem to step up when we need them, but will that continue? Yes, it will. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense with the greatest maybe single game performance I've ever seen any defense play. It's up there with, I would say, the Legion of Boom against Peyton Manning. 43-8. They're both right in the same realm. To me, those are some of the greatest defensive performances that I've seen, just because it was it was a great defense, yes, but it was against an offense that nobody thought could be stopped. And not only did they stop them, but they literally just completely shut them down. It was a blowout in both instances. Maybe give a slight edge to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense because they actually held the Chiefs out of the end zone. The Denver Broncos got a cheap late touchdown and went for 2. I think it was Demaryius Thomas scored a touchdown in that game. So maybe a slight edge to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense, but either way, just an incredible performance. I want to give so much credit to so many people. I'm glad for guys who have been a Tampa Bay Buccaneer for so long and have really like been through the grind with this team, talking about like Cameron Brate, Mike Evans, Lavonte David, Will Golston, even like Chris Godwin has been with the Bucs a pretty long time. Donovan Smith, who, I mean, don't even get me started on old Donnie Smith. Once I settled down and I looked at it, my mind went big picture pretty quickly, and I thought to myself, like, because of this one game, because of how the game went, how many people just became potential Hall of Famers because of this one game? And you start going down the Bucs roster and you look at guys and you look at these names, and I'm like, wait a minute. Jason Pierre-Paul is now a 2-time Super Bowl champion. Did it with 2 different teams, and in both instances he went up against a historically great offense. Is JPP now a Hall of Fame player? I mean, he is at the very least in the discussion. You got to give him his due. Shaq Barrett is a 2-time Super Bowl champion with a league lead in sacks on his resume, right? Almost a 20-sack season on his resume. Is that guy in contention to go to the Hall of Fame? Lavonte David, the most underrated player maybe in Tampa Bay Buccaneers history, and maybe in the NFL over the last couple decades. Is Lavonte David going to the Hall of Fame, like, because of this game? Mike Evans, right? Another guy who you could make an argument like, wow, maybe Mike Evans, you know, that Hall of Fame case for some of these guys gets, it really, like, it cements their legacy in a different way, in a way that they could never do as individuals, right? Mike Evans could just keep stockpiling stats. Lavonte David could just keep balling out every Sunday, getting TFLs that no one will notice. But now that you got that little Super Bowl right next to your name, it says Super Bowl champion Lavonte David, Super Bowl champion Mike Evans, that all of a sudden brings you to a whole new stratosphere. It's a whole new status of player because you win just this one game. It can't be overstated, like, how amazing one game changes an entire player's legacy, whether fair or unfair. You know, that's just the way it is. Like, now you're a Super Bowl champion and that will never go away. That is something that you earn, and it carries so much weight for the rest of your life that you won a Super Bowl. That is something that those guys, I think they deserve it. It's awesome to see. It's really awesome to kind of think about. You know, and we could go even a little bit more in depth. I mean, Bruce Arians. Is Bruce Arians a guy who's a Hall of Fame coach now? I think before this season, you could have made an argument that Bruce Arians deserves some credit, but I don't think anybody would have put Bruce Arians in the Hall of Fame. Now you have to look at it and say, well, wait a minute now. He's had some good teams in the past. He has coached great quarterbacks. He just won a Super Bowl against a great coach, against a great offense led by a great quarterback. I mean, you gotta give the guy his due. Is Bruce Arians a Hall of Famer? Like, the ramifications of this one game, it's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing how much changes for the Bucs and just everybody based off of one performance. But that's why you saw the Buccaneers, they knew it. And this is really where I give Tom Brady a lot of credit. He definitely made it clear to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going into the game, if you win this game, you're legends and you're remembered forever. Your legacy is endless. It never dies. Like, you are a Super Bowl champion. No one will ever forget that. So I think that Tom Brady really drilled into everybody's heads, like, this is it. And you have the opportunity to do something amazing. Beyond just winning this game, you have the opportunity to just set yourself up. Like, forever you are a Super Bowl champion if you can win this one game, and they'll never take it away. What about Ndamukong Suh? Ndamukong Suh is a guy, like, he's had a long career. You know, maybe a lot of people have a lot of mixed emotions about Suh, and that's fine. I was one of those people before he came to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as well. So, you know, I understand that logic if you feel that way. However, it's tough to deny this man's had a very long career. A lot of stats have been compiled. He's been on good teams, he's been on bad teams, and he's always performed at a high level. And now he's a Super Bowl champion. and started and balled out in the Super Bowl. Like that to me is it's a legacy changer for guys like that, and that's awesome to see. Hey, LeSean McCoy gets his second Super Bowl in 2 seasons. Leonard Fournette gets a Super Bowl. I mean, just Gronk becomes the first guy ever to catch a pass in 5 separate Super Bowls, which is just insane. 4 Super Bowl rings for Gronk, caught a pass in 5 Super Bowls. That's a crazy stat. So what we just witnessed, I mean, Tampa Bay Bucks fans, like, really live it up. This is your off season to live it up. I know everyone's going to be talking about the pressure of a repeat and, you know, can they run it back and all that stuff, and that's fine. And maybe in later videos, right, we'll address that. We'll talk it through and, you know, we'll see. But I think really just bask in it, guys. Like this is what we just lived. We lived an absolute fairy tale season. We lived a fairy tale from start to finish, from last off season. Hell, even before last off season, 2019 was the start of the fairy tale, right? It's got to start somewhere bad to get to somewhere good. Last season, I mean, I think about the Giants game. Matt Gay comes on the field and shanks a chip shot field goal that should be a game winner. The game against the Panthers in London, right? We don't even need to talk about the man, but we can just talk about the amount of turnovers that were in that game. I just think about everything the Buccaneers have done to get to this point. Then I think about last offseason. You know, there were talks about who we're going to get. You know, it was like, well, we could get Teddy Bridgewater was a name rumored. And they talked about Phillip Rivers moved to Florida. Remember when Phillip Rivers got his house in Florida, everybody's like, oh my gosh, the Bucs are going for Phillip, and holy cow, you know. And at the time, I was like, you know, I don't mind Phillip Rivers. Like, that might be a good signing. Obviously, the Buccaneers made the right choice. And I just think of all of that. I think of when we signed Leonard Fournette. I said to everybody, nobody thought Leonard Fournette was going to make a difference. Everybody thought Leonard Fournette's washed. Why would Jacksonville cut him if he was still good? You know what? Thank you to the Jacksonville Jaguars. I really appreciate it. I know the Jaguars do have a good running back. I'm not going to try to say like everything that they do is silly and the Jags are just a joke. I know they have a good running back in place who took over for Fournette. That's fine. But thank you to the Jacksonville Jaguars for cutting an absolute stud. Leonard Fournette, no, he's not the greatest player in the world, and I don't think that he's necessarily lived up to the hype that came with him when he got drafted, and that's mainly more because the hype was incredible. I mean, Leonard Fournette was supposed to be the next Adrian Peterson. He was the next greatest running back, right? He's not that. Do the Buccaneers get through these playoff games without Leonard Fournette? I don't know. I don't know. Leonard Fournette, playoff Lenny, Super Bowl Lenny. Leonard Fournette, I did want to just take this moment to really give him that props. He deserves that. Leonard Fournette came in. He was benched this year. He barely played for a large portion of this season. But when the Tampa Bay Buccaneers needed it, and they needed Leonard Fournette to be physical, run hard, be consistent, just, you know what? Get us 3 yards, 4 yards up the middle. Catch this ball on a check down, turn it upfield, get 5 yards. Leonard Fournette was able to do that. I know he's probably going to leave in free agency, and he deserves to get a big money deal from somebody else, and he deserves to start and be the legitimate number 1 on another team. But I will be forever thankful to Leonard Fournette's contribution to this football team in this season. I can't believe it. I just remember when we signed him. I remember when the Jags cut him. I said, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, why not? We should go get him. Why not? I was like, it's in the same state. He's barely even got to move. And then on top of that, he's the perfect 1-2 punch with Ronald Jones. They're the perfect complement to each other's skill sets. It's an outstanding 1-2 punch to have. I thought the 1-2 punch would be much earlier in the season. I expected like halfway through the year, Leonard Fournette would be really involved. It took until the playoffs, and I'm okay with that, because Leonard Fournette showed up when he needed to. So thank you to Leonard Fournette, and thank you to Jason Light, Tom Brady, and Devin White for bringing over Leonard Fournette. All 3 of those guys get credit for bringing over playoff Lenny. I want to say MVP of the playoffs, though. I think I talked about this earlier in a different video, and I stick with it. The MVP of the playoffs is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offensive line. And I don't want to spend too much time talking about it because nobody wants to hear about it. But the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offensive line might be the best offensive line in the league, at least right now. I can't believe how well they blocked for Tom this whole playoff run. Even Leonard Fournette's success, Ronald Jones' playoff success, that is tied to this offensive line as well. Don't discredit them in the run game. This offensive line, and Rob Gronkowski being a part of that as a blocker as well, let's give him his due. This offensive line, they were able to really take their game to another level. They had good players, but then they became a good unit in the playoffs. Now, Donovan Smith is a guy who's been under siege for how long? I'm just going to say, Donovan Smith, hey, I will never hate on Donovan Smith again. I am this close to going out and buying a Donovan Smith jersey. I mean, Donovan Smith, he brought it in every single week of the playoffs, this offensive line as a whole. Don't even forget they lost their starting right guard and just plug and played a guy who had never played before. Stinney had never played. Gets in at right guard. It's almost as if they didn't miss a beat. I know he didn't play perfect. Either way, Stinney steps in and he's able to carry the torch. This offensive line, they're a unit, and they are definitely MVP of this playoff run. They kept Brady clean. They kept this run game on point. The whole playoff run, big ups to the offensive line. The next thing I really kind of want to hop onto is really just, I want to spend some time on 2 people. 3 people? Let's go 3 people. Let's go, all right, I got 5 people. All right, wait, let's go to 4. 4 people I want to talk about on this Tampa Bay Bucks defense. I'm not even sure who to start with. I guess I'll start with an easy one. Shaq Barrett. Now, all season you've been watching the channel, right? You've been hearing me talking about the Bucks, or you know, we just hang out, we talk on the phone about the Bucks, or we talk in person about the Bucks. Shaq Barrett has underachieved this season, and I've been hard on him all season. I've been like, Shaq, bro, I need you to do better, bro. I need you to do better, right? You're supposed to be getting all this money. I need you to earn it, okay? Shaq Barrett went from 19.5 sacks last year. 19.5 to under 10. That's... Don't let the Super Bowl distort the fact. That's terrible, okay? That's like a really bad regression. However, to his credit, and I will give him the credit, all the credit in the world, to his credit, when the Buccaneers needed Shaq Barrett the most, he was at his best. Shaq Barrett against Aaron Rodgers in the NFC Championship game and then against Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl was a man possessed, running all over the field, looked unstoppable. His pass rush was premium. He looked like he looked last year, so Shaq Barrett, look, I don't know, you know, contracts and everything like that. I don't know what's going to happen with that. I know everybody right now on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is saying, I'll take less and I want to come back and all of that. We'll see what actually happens as we get further away from the nostalgia of the win and closer to the offseason. But Shaq Barrett showed up for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers when they really needed him the most, and I will never forget that. Shaq Barrett, thank you. You got 2 Super Bowls on your resume. That's incredible. What happened that changed Shaq Barrett's output? Why did it get so much better? Oh, Tom Brady proved that one guy can change a heck of a lot, right? You know who that one guy is on the Tampa Bay Bucks defense? It's Vita Vea. Vita is super underrated. He goes unnoticed a lot, and you know that comes with the territory of playing defensive line in general, but especially defensive tackle. You know, he's a nose tackle. This is not like a sexy position where you're like, oh, look at Vita, go! No. Vita Vea changes so much for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers through scheme and just everything. He's a man who requires a double team on every play or he's going to kick your freaking ass. And I apologize for cursing, but Vita Vea, people don't realize really how good he might actually be. Position by position. He might actually be the best player on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers roster. And I think I said this last week too, I may have. He might genuinely be our most talented individual player just at his spot. I think Devin White and Levante David have an easier job when Vita Vea is on the field. JPP and Shaq Barrett, their job is infinitely easier when Vita Vea is present. He changes everything for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense. He's one thing that I think is really underrated with this Super Bowl run. I don't know if the Buccaneers win the Super Bowl if Vita Vea can't come back from that injury. He changed everything in Lambeau against Aaron Rodgers. He changed everything in the Super Bowl. So I think Vita Vea, listen, people were down on Vita Vea when we drafted him, traded back to get him. People wanted Derwin James. I did too. I understand Derwin James is a great player, and that was a pick that people were high on for the Bucks. But Vita Vea, let's not hate on him. Let's give him his due. Vita Vea is a big part of the reason why we just won the freaking Super Bowl. So Vita Vea, you get a little bit of a, hey, welcome to some notoriety, some fame for Vita Vea. Next two guys I want to talk about, we just kind of referenced them a little bit talking about Vita Vea, but they are amazing in their own right. I said, I think again, last week, I said, best two linebackers in the league, best tandem in the league is without question. It's Lavonte David and Devin White. But I said I would take either of them as individuals to be the best at their position. And I'll stand by that today. Now, Devin White is young and he's inexperienced. And I think he's only going to get better. He's not a perfect player. I know the hype train for Devin White is going to be rolling like this dude is the greatest thing since Ray Lewis. I understand that hype train is going to be heavy rolling right now for Devin White, especially when he gets on the horse and rides it around the stadium. That's going to be pretty insane. He has his flaws still. He's not a perfect player. He plays nonstop, max speed, full, all out, literally every play. So I have to give Devin White, to me, like, he's young and he's got room to grow. But Devin White, to me, is one of the most unique players I think I've ever seen, because he's good enough to be good at everything, right? Devin White, this is something that I don't think anybody realizes, and I'm going to simmer down here so I'm going to calm down my hype. I'm going to get in real close with you guys. And I want you guys to really understand what I'm about to say. Dude had 9.5 sacks. So when you look at him then, right, and you're scheming from a defensive standpoint, you're like, I want to blitz this guy because he's obviously an outstanding pass rusher, so let's send him. Let's go get him, Devin, right? And all regular season, Vita Vea got hurt, and the second half of the regular season, all Todd Bowles did was blitz that A-gap. Devin White blitzed through the A-gap like every single third down for the whole season. Devin White was our best blitzer. The playoffs come. Week 1 of the playoffs, Washington, Devin White doesn't play. Week 2 of the playoffs, week 3 of the playoffs, and then the Super Bowl. Devin White barely blitzed at all. Todd Bowles said, I'm not going to blitz Devin White because I don't need to. Against the Saints, he didn't blitz. The Buccaneers barely blitzed. They just kind of played coverage. Against the Green Bay Packers, they got back Vita Vea, and they didn't blitz at all. They just let the front four go rush. Devin, you cover. Lavonte, you cover. We don't need to blitz anybody. We're good. Just rush that front four. The thing that's amazing about that, besides Todd Bowles' just willingness and ability to completely just flip it, change it, do totally different stuff than we've been doing all season. The crazier thing about it is the fact that Devin White is so versatile. This guy is able to affect the game however you want him to affect the game. He was the best pass rusher on the team when we needed him to be the best pass rusher on the team. Then all of a sudden we said, Devin, look, Vita's back. Our pass rush is good. We don't really need you to rush. We just need you to cover. And he said, okay, you know what? I'm going to cover Alvin Kamara. And matter of fact, I'm going to pick off Drew Brees and put the dagger in the Saints. And it was, okay. All of a sudden we go to the Super Bowl. What does Devin White do? Intercepts Mahomes. A monster day in the Super Bowl. 12 tackles in the Super Bowl. Multiple TFLs and a pick. The versatility that Devin White really put on display this season is what I'll remember. Because earlier in the season, I was thinking, man, Devin White should basically just be like an edge rusher. He's incredible. Like, his pass rushing skills are through the roof. And then you see that, no, he's just a great all-around player. And Todd Bowles just needed him to be a great pass rusher in those moments. However, that's not what he's limited to. He's not limited to being a good pass rusher. He's just a great overall player. So Devin White, no, he's not there yet. To me, I think he's just going to continue to get better. But holy cow, does he boast some of the most potential I've ever seen out of really a defensive player or any player. Just incredible potential for Devin White to just be, I mean, the ceiling is very high for Devin White. Other guy who's right next to him, and this is my boy, you already know. Obviously, I wear my Lavonte David t-shirt under my jersey to every game. Lavonte David, he'll get no credit. Like he never gets any credit. So that's fine. We're all accustomed to it as Bucs fans, and I'm sure he's accustomed to it himself. He won't get any credit. But Lavonte David shut down Travis Kelce the way I've actually never seen anyone shut down Travis Kelce, and at least personally I suspected wasn't possible. Now Lavonte, we know he could cover, we know he could rush. Again, similar to Devin White, he's kind of a do-it-all guy. In coverage, he can lock it up. Now I didn't expect the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to one-on-one Travis Kelce as much as they did with Lavonte David and just tell Lavonte David, hey, go lock him up. You know, that's the best receiving tight end in the game. Go lock him up. And Lavonte David, just watching him do that, and just, I mean, just wow. Lavonte David put the clamps on Travis Kelce, and that was the matchup to watch. And he'll get no credit for that because he didn't get like an interception, and there was no real flashy play. But how many times did the ball get thrown at Travis Kelce, and Lavonte David just came in and did boop, boop. Just a nice little pass deflection right in front of his face, jumped the route, oop, knock it down. Like, that is just the textbook greatness that is Lavonte David. I always describe Lavonte David like this. Is he the greatest player in the world? I don't like to get into all things like that. I just like to say Lavonte David, to me, has always been the least likely player to make a mistake. Like, yes, Lavonte David I've seen him get beat. We've all seen him, make a bad play here or there, miss a tackle, what have you. But he is the least likely. The probability of Lavonte David doing something wrong is like nil. He does not make mistakes. So I guess I shouldn't have doubted him. I should have known. They one-on-one'd him with Travis Kelce, and he won that matchup. Well, I've never seen Travis Kelce get locked down like that. I didn't know it was possible. I know Travis Kelce, I sound like I'm like ridiculous. Like Travis Kelce had 100-plus yards. He had 10 catches for like 130 yards. I know it sounds ridiculous to say that's locking him down. Most of those catches are against zone coverage when Mahomes scramble, and eventually the zone breaks down, he's wide open over the middle of the field, boom, throw it to him, he gains like 20 yards. In tight man-to-man coverage, Travis Kelce was basically a non-factor. He was almost not even a part of the game. So, wow, like saying that even now, it sounds ridiculous to say the Tampa Bay Buccaneers shut down Travis Kelce, but they did. Like, Lavonte David took him out of the game in a big way. And then finally, the other guy I really want to give credit to, I really want to give credit to everybody on this whole freaking team. Like, Jordan Whitehead, I do want to say, small note, man played with a harness, like couldn't lift his arm above his head. The toughness on display there is incredible. Jordan Whitehead, I'll never forget that. Thank you to Jordan Whitehead for doing that. Way to leave it all out there, buddy. Man, I want to talk about, though, and again, we know it's near and dear to my heart, guys, A&W. Antoine Winfield Jr. Now, I have been on the Antoine Winfield Jr. bandwagon, I think, since we drafted him. I was excited when we drafted him. I thought it was a really good pick. I was pumped about it. But obviously, you don't know how good a player is going to be until he actually plays. Third game, I know he got a sack. He had 2 sacks in his first 3 games, and he was flying all over the field. And I was like, this guy is the truth. I was like, Antoine Winfield Jr. is a rookie, but he plays like a vet. Like, he's outstanding. Antoine Winfield Jr. with 2 unforgettable moments this season. 2 of them against the Saints. The Saints have the lead, and they are driving on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, right? So all the momentum is in the hands of the Saints. And I talked about this in my Victory Monday after the Saints game, so you can go back and watch my actual, I really got into it, talked about it a lot. I'm just going to gloss over it here, if you will. In that moment where the Saints were driving to take momentum, Antoine Winfield Jr., he's up against Jared Cook. He gets picked, which if you don't know what a pick play is, basically it's an automatic lose for the defender. If you get picked, it's an offense running a pick play and you get picked, the guy's going to be open, he's going to catch the ball, you lose, right? Antoine Winfield Jr. on a 3rd down and 2 gets picked. He chases down Jared Cook from behind and punches the ball out of Jared Cook's hands. Antoine Winfield Jr. at like maybe 5'9", on 5'9", maybe, up against like 6'5" Jared Cook. And Winfield Jr. chases him down and boom, clobbers that ball out. Devin White, of course, picks it up, and that was his first stiff arm. That one was to the face of Michael Thomas. Oh. That play changed the course of the Buccaneers season. Then you fast forward to the Super Bowl. Of course, he didn't get to play in Green Bay, which sucked. He probably would have made a ton of plays in that game too, but listen, it's all good. He came through to the Super Bowl. And you mean to tell me that Antoine Winfield Jr., a rookie, picked off Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl, in the biggest game of Patrick Mahomes' life to this point? Antoine Winfield Jr. comes away with an interception. Wow. That is clutch stuff, man. And out of a rookie, you're talking about just... this dude is a vet. He looks like a 5-6 year vet already. Antoine Winfield Jr., I can't wait to see him just keep getting better and better and better. I love having him. One of my favorite players on the team. Absolutely the kind of guy, like, as a Bucs fan, you feel like you want to consider getting this dude's jersey. Like, Antoine Winfield Jr. is here to stay, and he's here to ball. Like, he is an absolute baller. I also want to say, you know, I will never forget the image. Obviously, just being there, seeing it, I will never forget the image of Antoine Winfield Jr. just deucing Tyreek Hill to his face. Personally, I'm not a big fan of sore winners. Be thankful that you won and just appreciate the fact that you won. And I think you should win with class. I'm a big fan of winning with class, I guess is a better way to say it. I don't like people who, like, win and then they, you know, like, they front run after they win. Like, yeah, yo, we won. Like, you know, I don't like that. And Antoine Winfield Jr. personifies class. I don't want to hear any of this nonsense. Tyreek Hill, like, he came out and beat the Buccaneers very, very badly. Honestly, let's just call it what it is. During the regular season, and by the way, check out the film review on this channel. Guys, check it out. Tyreek Hill against the Bucs the first time. In the regular season, Tyreek Hill came out and spanked the Buccaneers defensive backs like they were children. I mean, honestly, just embarrassed them. In that game, there were at least 2 or 3 incredibly disrespectful things that Tyreek Hill did to the Tampa Bay Bucs, and none of which I forgot, and clearly none of which the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense forgot either. Tyreek Hill deuces a lot of people, so it's tough for me to call the deuce sign really that disrespectful. Like, he does that consistently. That's kind of like his trademark thing, so I let that slide. He did deuce Antoine Winfield Jr. Right to his face in the game as he scored a touchdown, which, again, he does that to a lot of people, so that's not the biggest deal to me. However, Tyreek Hill did backflip in front of Antoine Winfield Jr.'s face in that game as well as he walked into the end zone. And then arguably the most disrespectful thing is then he went on the sidelines and imitated Shannon Sharpe with the fake phone call saying that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense needed help and help was on the way, taunting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers fans. So you know what, Tyreek? Bruh, I gotta be honest with you, dude. I don't feel bad in the slightest. In fact, the fact that Antoine Winfield Jr. did that will live on in glory in my mind forever. Because that's, I think, in that moment how everyone felt. Because not only did all of that just kind of build over time, but after all that disrespect, then the Buccaneers and Bucs fans, we had to sit through 2 weeks of every single media outlet telling us there is no way ever anybody could stop Tyreek Hill. He's the greatest player in the history of the world. What are you going to do? Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill is the greatest tight end, wide receiver, 1-2 punch that the NFL's ever seen. You can't stop it. Can't double them both. Can't single them. How are you going to run with the cheetah? Listen, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I mean, oh my God. Like, Tyreek, honestly, I just want to say, Tyreek Hill, I don't know him that well, and I don't have a great opinion of him, but I don't know him that well. But honestly, dude, like, go fuck yourself. That's kind of how I feel about Tyreek Hill, especially because when he beat the Buccaneers, and he beat them soundly, he whooped the Buccaneers, just whooped them. To then go in the biggest stage and lay a colossal egg. How does that feel, Tyreek? Like, bro, how do you feel about that? Like, you talked all that noise, and then you came out and did a whole bunch of nothing. Tell me about it, Tyreek. Tell me about it. Why are you telling me about it? Can you do me a favor? Can you just, yeah, this is for you. Can you just hold this L? Thanks. Take that for me, Tyreek. Hold that L. And the fact that Antoine Winfield Jr. did that, and that's not like, to me, that's something that Carlton Davis might do. I could see Murphy Bunting doing that. I could see Devin White. If Devin White went up to somebody, I mean, Devin White talks noise to people after every single play. Devin White he talks trash literally every snap. Every time he tackles somebody, he's getting up talking to him. Antoine Winfield Jr. is a quiet, humble guy. Quiet and humble. All season, haven't heard him say a thing, right? If you watched him mic'd up, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have had him mic'd up this year. If you watch on the Bucs YouTube channel, if you watch Antoine Winfield Jr. mic'd up, he's a quiet, humble guy, work hard guy. For him to do that, tells you the amount of disrespect that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense really felt about what Tyreek Hill did. And you know what? Man, we got him. We got him. We got him. I mean, just, wow. That was a great moment. Antoine Winfield Jr., I've been saying this for the last couple days, and I think it's going to catch on. I think I'm going to keep saying it. Antoine Winfield Jr., I think you might be my spirit animal out there, because that was everything that I felt like we all felt, and he just gave it to us right there. That one gesture. It's really simple. It was perfect. You know, it wasn't over the top. It's not like you don't have to go fight the guy. It wasn't anything disrespectful like spitting or you know, anything like that, right? It was just a straight up, dude, deuces. I was going to say something else, but deuces. And it was just so fitting. It was the most appropriate way that you could have done it. And in the most appropriate way to taunt a guy. So, no regrets on that. Antoine Winfield Jr., you take that penalty all day long. When you get a pick in the Super Bowl against Patrick Mahomes and the game is out of reach in the fourth, you go ahead and get that taunting penalty, and I'm not going to be mad at you. So, Antoine Winfield Jr. might be my spirit animal out there, man. That was a special moment and one that, seriously, I'll never forget. Like, thank you to Antoine Winfield Jr. for just having the balls, you know, to step up. Little man out there and just, oh man, that was awesome to see. So finally, kind of just in a recap, I mean, look guys, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are Super Bowl champions, and there's so many things to say. I feel like I could literally talk about this for 2 or 3 hours straight. I'm just so proud of everybody, man. Everybody stepped up in their own way and just contributed the way that they had to get the Bucs this win. Jason Light, I don't ever want to hear another person tell me that Jason Light is not a good GM. The amount of Bucs fans that hated on Jason Light before this season, you guys should sit down and think about what you said and send an apology, a little like note, an I'm sorry Hallmark card mailed to Jason Light. None of this happens if Jason Light doesn't put all these people in position and go get Bruce Arians. That's what set this whole thing off. Jason Light is a huge part of why the Tampa Bay Bucs are world champions. I was harsh on Byron Leftwich and Bruce Arians throughout this season. I realized that I was harsh because I was too impatient, and I should have realized that it takes time. I underestimated the amount of time that it would take for everybody to gel. But you really see the difference with no training camp versus having training camp. It just took time to get all the pieces to gel together. Bruce Arians is a mastermind in terms of how to be a coach. He's a quarterback whisperer, right? An offensive guru. We go over this over and over, whatever. His system, no risk it, no biscuit, deep shots all day. We understand. That's not what Bruce Arians is the best at, though. You know, and he was obviously offensive coordinator, play caller, great at it in his own right. But what he's great at is he understands the pulse of the team. He knows how to motivate the guys on the team. And as a coach, that's really your job, because he's not an offensive coordinator. The job of a head coach is to get the best out of your team. You have to get your guys to play their best football. Tampa Bay Buccaneers could not have played any better in that Super Bowl. They couldn't. Bruce Arians, all season long, he said controversial things in the media at times. He said he had ridiculous statements at times that where I was like, and I think a lot of Bucs fans were like, Bruce, what are you saying? Like, Bruce, shut up for 5 seconds. When Bruce Arians called out Bill Belichick, like, what are you saying? Why would you say that? When he called out Tom Brady, Bruce, shut your mouth for 5 seconds. But you know what? Bruce Arians knew what to say and when to say it. And I do have to give him credit. Every time he said something ridiculous or something that I felt was out of place and didn't need to be said, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers backed it up and they stood behind him. When it comes to head coaching, you need a leader. And Bruce Arians, in his own unique, kind of weird way, is a leader. And he understands how to get the best out of the people around him. So I'm going to give Bruce Arians a whole lot of credit for this. Byron Leftwich, I was hard on him. I'm still not the biggest Byron Leftwich guy. But I will say Byron Leftwich does deserve a lot of credit for putting his ego to the side and changing his philosophy. Midway through the season, Byron Leftwich really just changed up everything. And he said, listen, you know, we've been doing it this way. This way is not working as well as we want it to work. We're going to start doing it this way. And they stuck with it all the way through. And, you know, I mean, hey, got us a Super Bowl. Now, obviously, there's still like 1 or 2 plays a game Byron Leftwich calls. And I'm like, oh, my gosh, Byron, what are you doing? But for the most part, Byron Leftwich has really, he stepped it up in the second half of the season and then in the playoffs. So credit to everybody. I mean, again, I didn't really want to talk about the obvious guys. Listen, Todd Bowles, he's the greatest defensive mind I've ever seen. Obviously, my football knowledge in terms of like what I've actually watched live, it only goes back to like 2005-ish or something around there. But Todd Bowles, in my time, is the greatest defensive just strategist I've ever seen. He's up there with, I would say Bill Belichick is also in the discussion. You can't forget about Bill Belichick. He's a great defensive mind as well. But Todd Bowles is so creative. 2 weeks to prepare, and he went up against one of the greatest offensive play callers in NFL history in Andy Reid, and he just completely shut him down. Andy Reid had no answer. One of the best tight ends in NFL history, one of the best young quarterback prospects in NFL history, maybe going to be one of the best, if not the best quarterback ever when it's all said and done. Up against Tyreek Hill, up against Andy Reid, and Todd Bowles said, watch this, I got something for y'all. So, to me, I don't want to hype him up too much because everybody's going to hype up Bowles. Same thing with Brady. I mean, listen, we know he was amazing. We know what Tom Brady means to this team. I mean, you can see it right here. I got the shirt. He's also the orange shirt back there behind my WilOcho jersey is a Tom Brady shirt. Listen, Tom Brady is everything to the Bucs. We know that, though. That's a played storyline. We know what he means to the franchise and to the team. Thank you to Tom for coming and just delivering. I will always remember with Tom Brady, like, not only do you never bet against him, ever. Like, you just never, ever bet against him. But I will always remember with Tom Brady, like, I've never seen somebody deliver like Tom Brady delivers. I mean, he just is... He's greatness. He's excellence. He's just everything. He's the greatest football player to ever play football. And that is insane to say, but it's true. Tom Brady, job well done. Tampa Bay Buccaneers on a whole, I'm just so proud of everybody. There's so many guys on this team that I want to support, and I can't believe it runs deep. Like, it runs deep. Everybody on this team, I'm really proud of how everybody stepped up. Final note: everybody in this season had a moment or a time where they had to step up. And they were able to do that in their own individual ways. And that, to me, is what I will remember this season for probably the most. It's just how many different great players made plays for the Bucs when the Bucs needed it. And you could go right on down the line at every position, you know. And we talked about Fournette. Rojo had that stretch of games where he was incredible. Tyler Johnson with one of the best catches I've ever seen in a playoff game where he's getting no targets prior to that. You talk about Mike Evans, okay with the addition of Antonio Brown, the addition of Gronk. Now Mike Evans is talking about taking a pay cut to keep guys around. That's incredible. Chris Godwin playing with down 2 fingers. I mean, my gosh, you just could go down the line. Offensive line, we've had injuries where guys have had to step up and fill in the gaps there, fill voids for the Bucs, and they were able to do it. Starting with A.Q. Shipley, then Stinney, of course, getting in there late. Incredible production by so many different guys. You can't make it up. I mean, Kevin Minter even. We miss a playoff game. No Devin White for the first playoff game of the run. Kevin Minter, did he have a great game? No. But he did tip the ball that led to Sean Murphy-Bunting's interception. So he made a huge play in that game. And you could just keep it going. Ross Cockrell, when there were injuries at the cornerback position, able to fill in admirably. I mean, he made plays for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this year. You know, Jordan Whitehead playing through injury in the Super Bowl. Winfield playing through injury in the Super Bowl. Vita Vea coming back. You know, like, just a crazy season, and definitely the best season ever. I mean, that's without saying. For me as a football fan, I've never seen a season like it. I've never seen a game like that Super Bowl. I can't even believe what I witnessed. Seriously, guys, this was... I mean, the game of all games, right? We go to the Super Bowl to complete the fairy tale season. We win it at home, and we beat the, I would say the best team in the league outside of maybe ourselves. I think the Chiefs are at the top of the top. So we beat them, and we shut them down, and we freaking blew them out, guys. I kept waiting for the moment where the Chiefs were going to, like, hit that gear and put up a touchdown early, or put up a touchdown quick, rather. It just never happened. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers were in control from start to finish. They dominated the entire game. So, really proud of everybody. What a relief. The season, I mean, for it to culminate the way it did, it's just something I'll never forget, Bucs fans. You should never forget. We got Mike Evans here for the last time this season on a Victory Monday. You know, we got the orange throwback creamsicle hat. All right, over here, this is actually the NFC Conference Championship hat. I don't have the Super Bowl hat yet, obviously, but you can bet I'm going to get it. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, listen, one last time, my hat's off, even though it's on, to you guys. Thank you for that effort, and hey, I'm excited for this offseason. I think we could even get better, so I'm excited to see what happens. Let's go Bucs. We won the freaking Super Bowl. I mean, wow. Drew Brees in the Dome, Aaron Rodgers at Lambeau, Patrick Mahomes. Intercepted each one of them. That's all I'm going to say. Let's go Bucs. Super Bowl champions. Guys, I need you to yell with me because this is not just a regular Victory Monday. It's a Victory Monday on a freaking Wednesday after the freaking Tampa Bay Buccaneers won the freaking Super Bowl. I need you to yell with me, okay? And I need you to be loud, okay? I'm going to need you. Maybe go outside if there's people in your house that are sleeping or they want you to keep it down. Get out in your yard. Maybe go sit in your car. Lock the door. Maybe go in the bathroom. Lock the door, you know. Make sure no one can hear you because this needs to be loud. I have to have you yelling with me. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers just won the Super Bowl. And this Super Bowl, yell it with me, all right? It's a Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Victor Monday! Whoa, man. Super Bowl champions, guys. Super Bowl champions. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Let's go. Oh, my gosh.